Welcome to Camelus, a beautiful front-end scaffolding framework designed to structure a web page without shoving convention down your throat. This is because usually when you use a scaffolding tool, it's one provided to you, whether that be from Ruby on Rails or React or Express or any of the other of those frameworks. For example, Rails will generate directories like config and db, as well as a bunch of other loose files just outside of directories. Files like gem files, rake files, I think. Then in the config and db stuff, you have boilerplate just for its internal actions. Camelus ignores all of that. It generates four directories, but the main thing I pride myself in, not the main thing I pride myself in, but another cool feature is that it doesn't generate any loose files. It won't generate a git ignore, it won't generate a readme, it won't generate a Docker file, won't generate a Docker compose, anything, nothing of that sort. No loose files, just four directories. And it is a little bit convention based because you can't change, you can't add or subtract from those four directories. It'll always be four, but you can change the directory names, you can change the languages used in them, and you can change the default file names that are populated in there. So in this screencast, we're going to explore default Camelus scaffold because it has flags. It has a pretty deep flag system. It's still a work in progress in regards to the camel file system, but we'll explore the the flag system later because I'll show you that you can do a pretty good amount with just a default scaffold. So first, let me walk you through the four directories it will scaffold. First, we have the assets directory. This is going to be things like images, plain text files, etc. This is up to you. There's actually no files populated, scaffolded into this directory. So it'll be like your favicons or profile pictures or anything of that sort. Next, we have the first of the real directories is going to be the views directory. This is going to host your HTML files. Next, we have the JavaScripts directory. This is going to be home to your JavaScript files. Note that in your views file, in your views directory, the file populated in that it'll have the standard HTML boilerplate, but it will have a reference to that file populated in your JavaScripts directory. Next, we have the style sheets directory. This will be home to your CSS and Sass files. Note that whenever we're referring to Sass, S-A-S-S, the syntactically awesome style sheets, this will be referencing the .sass format instead of the .scss format. So it's the more extreme version of the two. Also, there's three optional, not really optional, but three varying directories that can be scaffolded. The first would be CoffeeScripts. If you choose to use CoffeeScripts in addition to JavaScript, if you're scripting, it'll generate this. It'll generate the CoffeeScripts directory. Similar to this, there's also the LiveScripts directory. Same thing with the CoffeeScripts, but this is if you choose to use LiveScript in addition to JavaScript. And we also have pug files. It'll be in addition to your HTML views files, whatever. Next, I'd like to introduce you to the Camelus buffet system. This is inspired by Ruby on Rails' omakase system. So it's based on the idea that you can pick out whatever dishes you want and eat them in whatever order you want, but you have to eat what the chef sets out for you. Don't go asking for a filet when the chef sets out a New York strip and a ribeye. So here are the courses. For views, we have HTML and Pug. Granted, it's not really one or the other. If you choose to use Pug, you still use HTML. But that's for the views. Next, we have scripts. You can use JavaScript, CoffeeScript, and LiveScript. Once again, it's in supplement, albeit you can only use CoffeeScript or LiveScript if you want a supplement. No JavaScript, CoffeeScript, and LiveScript. Next, for the style sheets, you can use CSS, plain CSS, this is the default, and Sass. Once again, it's .sass, not the smaller .scss format. So with this buffet system, you can go anywhere from Pug, CoffeeScript, and Sass, being unique or being extreme, from just HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Any mix of those options, but just remember that you have to pick those. Don't go complaining saying you want, I don't know, like textile or something. All right, so we're going to open up the terminal in just a second, and I'll show you an example of the default directories scaffolded with the plain Camelus command. But first, I would like to briefly explain the two commands and their respective aliases. So just for a normal scaffolding, you're either going to use ride or embark. So it would be Camelus ride or Camelus embark, followed by your project name. So it would be Camelus embark Hamachi, Camelus ride Ipswich. And for the camel file, it's not just to provide a camel file. It's mainly it's to scaffold from a camel file. So this is scaffolding too. So this is feed or provide. So it'd be Camelus feed, project name, Camelus feed Hamachi, or Camelus provide. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that you. Wait, never mind. Fuck it. Sorry, you don't have to do that. You don't have to mention the camel file because it's a camel file. There's only one fucking name for it, so it'll search for it in your directory for you. Just remember that it's got to be in the current directory of Camelus. So once again, if you wanted to scaffold a normal plain directory or project, it would be Camelus embark Hamachi, and your project name would be titled Hamachi, and then all the directories under that. But if you wanted to scaffold from a camel file, it'd be Camelus provide Hamachi, and everything would be there, and it'd have all your options and whatever. All right, let's get into the terminal. All right, so we're in the terminal now, and I'm going to show you a default directory. Note that I didn't quite come up with the actual command for it now, so it's not going to be a pretty Camelus embark. I'm going to have to reference the Perl interpreter and the name for it. Fun fact, this was written in Perl. Yeah. So we're going to use embark, like I said, and we'll name this blog. There we go. CD into blog, and see what we've got. We got assets, JavaScripts, style sheets, and views. CD into assets show you that there's nothing there. Yep. Now we'll CD into JavaScripts and show you what's in there. Landing.js. Note that the default file name is going to be landing for everything. Landing.js, landing.css, landing.html. Just under the idea that that's what you're going for. Landing page for an application, for a web page. Because that's pretty universal, landing page for a blog, landing page for a Twitter, I don't know, whatever you're making. Now we'll go into style sheets, show you. This one's actually empty. I mean, landing.js didn't have much, but yep, empty. Because you can't really come up with any boilerplate for CSS without getting too assumptuous. So I'm not going to do that. Seeing into views, this one actually does have boilerplate. I'll show you. Note that I did mess up the indentation on this. I'm going to fix that soon. But you can see here how it has the dynamic links. I mean, this isn't really proof that it's dynamic. This could be hard coded for what you're seeing, but trust me, it's not. So it'll go up, it'll go into style sheets, then landing.css. And if you change that to like blog home CSS, it would follow that. And then you got JavaScript landing.js. Exit that, and that is our app. Let's give you one final view. See, assets, JavaScript, style sheets, views. Next, we'll get into the flags. All right, so before we get into the flags exactly, I'd like to explain, I'd like to show you every flag. So first, we have, we're not going to use these in this example just yet, but here's how you change the default pages. So if you wanted to change the default HTML file, you would say my view is blog home. It's not blog home.html. It's not that. It's blog home. It's automatically h.html is automatically appended. So that would change. It would be right after embark, unagi, my view is, etc. But you could also replace view with script, and you could also replace it with style, not style sheet, just style is X. So that's how you change the default file name populated in each directory. To use pug, you either use plain pug or use the fun little word adopt pug, separated by a dash. So it would be Camelus, embark, unagi, adopt pug, and you would get the pug directory. Work in progress, not quite done yet. The live script and Java's live script and coffee step support's pretty much done, but not this yet. Adopt pug, and it would give you the pugs directory and whatever. Now, let's embark. The next command would be, let's see, let's go over sass. So just be the plain word sass or be sassy. There we go. And that would use .sass instead of .css for your style sheets. And for CoffeeScript, it's either plain old CoffeeScript or brew coffee. Now you got the CoffeeScripts directory and that stuff. I'm also going to set up a shell script. It'll be optional. But I'll set up a shell script that would automatically compile your coffee scripts into the JavaScripts folder. Remember that obviously you're going to keep the JavaScripts directory if you do brew coffee or whatever. Next, if you wanted to use LiveScript, which I doubt, just kidding. Go ahead if you want to. Camelus, embark, unagi, LiveScript. The plain word, or it would be revive LiveScript. Revive LiveScript. There we go. So I already use unagi. It'll fail if you create a project that same word. So let's give you an example. I'll show you LiveScript. I'll show you an example of LiveScript. So you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this part. When I release it, when I release the version 1.0 or 0.5 or whatever I release, it'll have a command. So I'll do embark. Let's name this Maltese, and we will revive LiveScript. Oh, fuck, we didn't. CD. Oops. There we go. So let's CD into Maltese and list what we've got going on. Assets, JavaScript, live scripts, style sheets, and views. I'm not going to go over assets, JavaScript, style sheets, and views again. Watch the last part if you forget, but I'll open up live scripts for you guys. CD live scripts, ls, landing.ls. It's going to follow the exact same naming scheme as your JavaScripts because that's how it works. That's the convention when you're using one of these transpiled JavaScript languages. And this is empty. Unlike I'm not going to bore you guys writing I'm not going to get over sumptuous writing the boilerplate, especially for live script, you know. Oh, wait, I opened the freaking wrong one. There we go. Doesn't change anything though. All right, so CD out of this. We're just gonna. I'll just go over one more flag, just because there's not much special about them. No, no, I'm not. You guys can drop into this and explore it if you want. But I will show you how a camel file looks in the next part. All right, so I'm going to show you how to use the camel file approach to scaffolding a Camelus application or project. So I think there is actually a camel file in here. So here's basically the format. It would just be, it's just the normal flags. However, if you don't need the dashes between them, like how in the CLI would be this. Just do that. Same thing applies to the my view is. It's, I'm pretty sure, let me actually double check. You do my script or my style, but after that you don't do. You would just do my style is blog home. Alright, so this will change our style sheets to Sass. That'll change, it'll add coffee scripts, and it'll change our view language to Pug. The Pug language, the Pug adaptation is still a work in progress because right now it's going to replace HTML with Pug, but I'll update it soon to add it in supplement to HTML. So let's go on ahead and run Perl Camelus CLI dot Perl, and then we'll do provide, and let's name this Sunma. Boom. And we'll cd into Sunma. See what we got. We got coffee scripts and views. So cd into coffee scripts, show you that it generated a coffee script file, boom. Landing.coffee, show you what it did for views. Landing.pug, and what else did we do? I'll show you what we did for style sheets. Landing.sass. All right, so there you go. We just scaffolded a app with the camel file. And the camel file is nice because you could do everything. You could do my view is log posts. You could do my style is blog post style sheet. You could do my script is blog controller, and boom. That's everything you can do with Camelus for now, with 6 lines, and you don't have to make a lengthy thing. And all you would do is just same old that command. 3 words. Well, when the real command comes out. Alright, so that was Camelus. Feel free to check out the README if you want any more information. It's mostly the same info, but I might have covered a couple more topics in the README. I'm still going to be working on this. I'm still going to be adding a couple features like help commands and that stuff. And I'll work on getting a clean command out so you can just do Camelus embark. And I'll also be working on the sister project Dromedary, which is the same exact thing as Camelus, but for the back end. That one's pretty cool, but I'll make some more posts for that too. And when there's I'll update there'll be some updates coming for Camelus. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.